Verse 15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman. I don't believe that you ladies know what actually happened. What God did at that moment was empower you. When God said, God did not pull Adam and Eve together. The reason why Eve had to follow Adam out, because he said the poor boy can't take care of himself. Let me just go on out here now. What's this? God did not call Adam and Eve together and say, I will put enmity. He said to the woman. He said, I will put enmity between you, Satan, and the woman. Watch this. He's directly speaking to the woman and nobody else. God was telling Satan that not only would Satan be the woman's enemy, but also, more importantly, God was making woman Satan's enemy. I don't think you understand that while we're sitting up here saying the enemy, that Satan and his imps are sitting up and saying their enemy. And they're not talking about their enemy is the man. They're talking about their enemy is the woman. Satan does have an enemy, and the enemy is you. You do not. Do you want to know why you're in a strange season? Because you're in this church getting so much word that you're about to figure out who you are. And the devil is trying to scramble your resources because you are his enemy. He ain't after me. He ain't after men. He's after you. Because if you ever figure that out, can I share something with you? Let me tell you this. I'm almost embarrassed to share this with you because I'm Adam. I come home from Jersey, preaching, comes in. I got this thing, I call her Gladys Kravis. If anybody ever watched Bewitched, you know, Gladys was always looking at something. Abner, come here. I'm in trouble now, so. And so I come in the house. I'm just getting home. I'm doing. Come here. She pulls me in the laundry room. What? She didn't look like she wanted to kiss me or nothing. Look at these. I said, what is it? It's a box. I said, what is in the box? Cody, what? These shoes in the box. He asked me to mail these shoes off. He asked me the other week to mail these shoes off. Something ain't right. I mailed one pair off. Now he got another pair. She didn't open it, read the note. Shoes defective. She said, something ain't right. I said, honey, let the boy alone. He's exercising his entrepreneur spirit, and he did the thing right. And all night, you better talk to him. You better talk to him. So I knew about time to go to sleep. I better talk to him. Because women have a way when you just get in that spot and she'll nudge, wake you up. I want to talk. Did you talk to him? Why you didn't talk? You don't respect. Oh, come on. And so I know my spirit said, you better talk to him if you want to sleep tonight. And so I went, I said, Cody, what's up with the shoes? You see, the shoes are defective, and I'm sending them back, and they're going to send me another pair because they said send them back because they're defective. I said, but you sent a pair back the other week. Yeah, but these are defective also. I looked at them, they looked like road dogs. They've been running for 2 years. I looked at Cody, I said, Cody, what is the real deal? Well, you see, they're defecting. I said, no, what's the real deal? And then he said, well, a friend of mine at school, I explained to him how I sent my shoes to Nike and got a new pair, and so he bought me his old pair, and I'm going to send those for him. I said, Negro, get them shoes back. Now, I want you to hear this. This is very crucial and very key. My wife did not expose Cody. She exposed Satan. Where I was being quiet and would have let it pass, she saw a hand behind him. And even at that innocent stage, if it had gone on, all of Stevenson would have been sending their shoes through Cody. And we wonder how our children get into certain things. I couldn't see I'm Bishop Long. And I could not see the hand of the devil manipulating my child in my house while I was sitting there. What God had called in this text for woman to be used directly and powerfully in a way to expose Satan's tactics and come against his kingdom. That is the reason why he entrusts you with the seed. He said the seed. He said he even goes in there and said, and between your seed and her seed. He says, God is saying the hatred would also be between your Satan's seed and her seed, and he shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Now, after the fall, and Satan became ruler of this world, yet God let him know that his leadership was temporary. And the seed of a woman is going to take it away from him. Eve was the first entrapped by Satan, but she was also the first to expose his true nature. She was also the subject of the first promised deliverance. Women have so much power that even in man's failure, God turned around and gave you a spirit because you were equipped to see Satan and call him out. Do you read that? See, I got back then yonder, few generations ago, we have not, and I'm just going to say this, and it might hurt somebody's feelings, but I got to tell the truth. A few generations ago, we not always had, we've always entertained single parents. Please understand this. There's always been a single parent somewhere. There's always been a grandmama who raised the children of their daughters and all that kind of stuff, and somebody, and all wasn't lost. There was not a man in the house, and somehow that woman was able to raise up 3 and 4 children by herself. Now, I'm not talking about they ate steak and caviar and all that stuff, but I'm talking about spiritual heritage, discipline, those kind of things, was because she was in such touch of recognizing that I have the ability to recognize the hand of the devil, and there was a special discernment. There was nothing I could do, no matter where I was. My mama didn't know. I used to hate my mama sometimes. If I was cross town and I messed up, she knew. I could walk in the house, how you doing? Boy, what you do? Nothing. I'm see your eyes. And one day I just got mad. How do you know everything? Both men and women are critically important to God's plan to exercise his will on earth. He has a unique design yet for women to move. Now here's the part that really bothered me, because I've been putting the wrong emphasis here. God has a unique design, or uniquely designed women to move into a battle. We've sat up here and we made it take men of war, but it should be women of war, because God was the one who gave you the warring spirit. And the problem is you've been sitting back laxed, and God is the one that gave you the spirit to fight and to recognize what you're fighting. See, men fight, but we fight as beating the air because we can't see them. And unless the radar is on, which comes from women and says, no, he ain't there, he's over there. No, he ain't in the money, he's up here. No, he's not there, he's there. Now get him. And so what this spirit is that's in you right now is that God is saying to you, things that become so messed up, I need my true warriors to rise up. It is time for war. That is what God is saying. When do you get sick of getting your tail kicked by somebody that God has created you to hate? Why is it that there are more women in church than men? A new revelation. There are more women in church than men, and more men in the streets, is because men will walk with the devil and not even recognize him. Women get sick of the devil real quick, and they come seeking after God, and that is the reason why there are more women in church. What's this? Proverbs 31. Let me take this deeper real quick. Somebody gonna get sick of him messing with you. By the time I get through, you're gonna be fighting. By the time I get through, you're gonna identify wherever he is, and you're gonna lay him out. Matter of fact, you're gonna lay him out at this altar. God gave you such a power, he gave you such a sense, and the devil, see, the problem is, you gotta understand, I can't say this. I'm not the enemy's devil, the enemy to the devil. I am not the enemy to Satan. God didn't even give me that ability. He made it so that you hate Satan, and Satan knows you hate him, and Satan knows that you have the ability to take him out. And if you ever recognize that God has given you that ability, that discernment, what's this? Tell your neighbor it's time for war. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Proverbs 31:10 says, who can find a what? Stop. We read too fast. Who can find a virtuous woman? What? Listen, 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 listen. The word, let me give you the word. The word virtuous in the Hebrew means force. It means that it is a means or other resource. It also means strength, able, might, power, and used to describe the strength of an army. When God said, who can find a virtuous, he said, now who can find a strong, mighty, fighting warrior, army woman that understands that she got the power of a whole army? Who can find, see, let me tell you something. I don't even understand if you understand warfare. Our problem in Saudi and all that with Saddam Hussein and all that stuff is when we went over the first time under Bush, the thing that was, we did all the fighting really by radar. We literally kicked their butts by radar. We surveyed their area, found out where the food was, found out where the weapons was, found out where the army was, found out where the airplanes were, found out wherever, and we just started bombing. And by the time we got through bombing, our foot soldiers just walked in and took the spoils. The reason why men can't fight is because we don't have radar. If we're not walking with woman, we don't know where to fight, what to fight, how to fight it, where the enemy is. You have the strength of a whole army. God asked who. I guess that's the reason why he asked who can find it. Because women have backed down. Do you realize that my mama, my daddy, he scared me, and I told you about him Sunday, but I'm going to tell you something. My mama today would look at me funny and tell me I'll hurt you, and I believe it. It ain't got nothing to do with her physical strength. It has all to do with her spirituality. That she understands I have a spirit that'll dominate you. And I dare you to rise up. If I had time, I would explain it to you. That is the reason why in 1 Peter, God tells women how to deal with men. Because he understands he made you with a fight spirit. But he also made man in a unique way that if you come at him wrong, he jumps up or he runs back. So you got to put your stuff in check when you're talking to a man, because he won't move the way you, because what God gave you was not to be levied at man, it was to be levied at hell. You need to hear this. If God equipped you with a spirit of war against the devil, and you need, see, my wife gets on me again because she, sometimes I grab her and I'm trying to be romantic. You too rough. Come on, girl. You too rough. Where Vince? And so what it is sometimes, because I'm thinking I'm all right, but sometimes I don't know my own strength. And she has to tell me, back off, you're too rough. You're too rough. And so what happens, women don't understand. God has given you such a fight spirit that if you turn to a man, you don't realize what you see. A woman can wound a man with words. She can, when you, and see, a man is very fragile. And see, God's given you so much artillery to shoot towards hell. But if you turn around and have a misfire, you can kill a man. He wasn't built to take that. That was ammunition to kill the devil. It wasn't ammunition to kill a man. Now he's wounded because you shot you. You better put your safety on. Check this out later in 1 Chronicles 5:18. Men of war were called the same word as virtuous, meaning valid men, men of great strength. It also shares, the word virtuous shares in the same consonantal root as the word that means to twist, in pain, as in childbirth, bear, or bring forth. What a way to describe a woman. You got a warring spirit. You got a spirit that is so strong. You got like an army at your command. You have the means, you have the strength, you're valiant, and in the midst of all of that, you understand how to carry something into life. That's the reason why so many things are dying. Communities are dying. Everything is dying because a man can't do it. God's informing us that you are a warrior woman to bring something to birth, and you are Satan's enemy. And I got this whole army of women in here. Do you know what would happen when you start praying? If you ever got serious about your power and started praying, every man will come home at night. Them old jive time single guys y'all been complaining about around here, they'll straighten up and fly right. Because what the single women are mad at, they sit up there, they ain't no men really got no character. They just, I don't know what they don't even listen to the message. They just so jive time and all that. See, you done missed your power. When you said that, you missed your power. Because it ain't the man, it's the spirit behind them. You have not identified the spirit behind them. Once you identify the spirit behind them, say, oh, you kind of cute. Let me go pray. You kind of cute, but let me go pray. Now, it might take me 6 months, but you stay right there. You kind of cute. Your ways kind of messed up, but let me go pray. It ain't you. I ain't going to let something fine like you get away. And the devil, I'm coming after you. You stay right here, honey. I can't pray. It ain't him. Touch your neighbor and say, it ain't him. Let me read this. Listen to this. In Proverbs 4, I need you to understand, in Proverbs 14:1, let me just read it. You ain't got to turn to it. Proverbs 14:1 says, the wise woman builds her house, but the foolish pulls it down with her hands. Now, when you read, and I ain't got time to go through all this because I got to get to a point. When you read the entire Proverbs 31, starting at the 10th verse, you will find reference to a woman's hands. Now, watch this. There are two types of hands that is described in Proverbs 31. One is cap, hands that are stretched out for God's grace and mercy upon families. Who keeps families together? Well, let me fix that. Who used to keep families together? It was a gracious, open hand of a woman that in spite of it all, she could pull grace and mercy in with an open hand. She understood her power. Then there's another hand, yod. These hands that may be opened or closed as a fist. Women have a spirit to know when to open up their hands for mercy and when to close them up to fight. Please come out of carnal thinking to understand that God has given you such a spiritual ability to set so much in order that we are missing, that we are now, that our hands can indicate power, a means of direction. The woman is to use both kinds of hands to help her house, to help build her house. Psalms 144:1, we use this as men, but it really should be directed more so to women. It says, he trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Fingers denote grasping something to seize it. The virtuous woman has learned how to do war or battle in the spirit realm. Now I got to come back to the beginning. She is a woman, though, whose heart, now watch this, it don't work if your heart is not turned back to him. See, if your heart, ladies, is set on pleasing men, then you mess up your radar. And you can't even see the devil. The Lord says, as long as you stay in tune with me, I'll show you where he is. Watch this. Have you ever noticed? Let me tell you about men and women real quick. I can have an argument with Vince in the morning, turn around, call him, I mean a real argument, call him at 2 and say, let's go lift weights. And he said, what time you want me to pick you up? And we'll go and enjoy ourselves. Hug each other, go home. You have a fight, 2 years later, run into him at the mall. Yeah. Get home, go on. You know who I saw today? They had a nerve to be up in the mall, walking by me, looking like they wanted to spit. For 2 years ago, she walked by me and didn't speak, and I haven't spoken to her since. And there's like a hatred. You know what that is? It's a misfire. You carry a spirit of hatred. Listen, listen, listen. God said to the woman, I will put enmity between you and Satan. I will put a hate spirit between you and Satan. Satan, you hate her and him, but she also, I'm putting a spirit on her just as equal to hate you just as much, if not more than you hate her. But when you're misfocused, you still got the hate spirit. It's redirected in the wrong way. God has given you such a hate spirit towards the devil, and if you don't recognize that, it will resonate in you and go against folk. You can sit up all night and be mad at sister so-and-so, and you can be mad at this one all night. Just can't stand it. If you see her, you want to slap her wig off. Is that a weave or what? I'm just going to hurt her. Look at her. And can you imagine what would happen one night if you got that mad at the devil and you were laying up there and he was trying to take, let me get him. Where is it? I'm a... When a woman becomes a virtuous one who has been awakened to her womanhood as God purposed it from the beginning, the end is near for the deceiver in her life. God is sitting here saying to you, when will it be the end for the deceiver in your life? I've given you the spirit that you can have, and you can hate him and levy everything like a mighty army against him. And once you recognize I shared this Sunday, I share this often. I'm sitting up here. You cannot imagine. You can't. I'm glad God brought me here from Charlotte and from Jersey, because you can't imagine what kind of boy I was. I shared this Sunday. My mother raised 4 boys. A year and a half, 2 of us were a year and a half apart. The other were 2 years. We were all coming up about within 4 years, and she had to deal with all of us at one time. We were foolish. We were crazy. We were preachers' kids. My two older brothers set our house on fire, burned down. We used to play games where we lived near a furniture store and we would get boxes, furniture boxes, tape them shut, put two kids in it, set it on fire, shake it like they were having a rocket ship to crash. This is your pastor. Well, y'all can't handle no more. And every night, my mom, I don't know where she got the strength. She'd be sitting up. See, some of us, our houses are too big. We all lived in one room. All four boys had two beds. I slept with my younger brother until I was in the 11th grade. And she would sit in the room and pray. We never got caught, never got burned, never got hurt, should have been killed, should have been, I mean, we did everything. And she would just love us. Because she was mad at the devil. And she said, you ain't getting none of my children. I want you to hear this. And I said this at one service. We came up during the Vietnam era. All of us about the same age. Not one of us got a draft letter. Everybody else was. We all went to college, got exposed to all kind of drugs. Not one of us. Not one of us. Not one of us. I pledged a fraternity, and my greatest fear was they're going to make me do some drugs. And I went through the whole thing, and they made everybody do drugs except me. That was a warring woman who hated the devil and said, you ain't getting my children. I'm almost through, but I got to say something. You are the only one, physically, spiritually, emotionally, that understand the process of conception, labor, pains, and birth. Nothing can be born spiritually without you. We can't go over there into the next building unless you fight the devil. There is nothing this church can do, and I can meet with all the men and fill this place up, if the women don't go to war. Nothing. I had a whole lot of more stuff, but I don't feel like. Listen. I got to read this. And then I need some sick and tired women to come to the altar. I got to read this. Look at Ephesians 1. You got to say amen. I got to read something before I read that. But in Ephesians 1, I'm going to start with the 17th verse. I'll read Ephesians first. That the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, may give you the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him, that the eyes of your understanding be enlightened, that you may know what is the hope of his calling, what are the riches of his glory, of his inheritance in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power towards us who believe, according to the workings of his mighty power, which he worked in Christ when he raised him from the dead and seated him at the right hand in heavenly places, far above principalities, powers, and mights, and dominion, and every name that is named, not only in this age, but also in that which is to come. And he put all things under his feet, and he gave him to be head over all things to the church, which is his body, the fullness of him who fills all and all. 18, the eyes of your understanding be enlightened, that you may know what is the hope of his calling, what are the riches of his glory, and his inheritance in the saints. And 17, that you may give the spirit of wisdom and revelation and knowledge of him. God specially equips you when you have turned wisdom, knowledge, revelation. He gives you all of that, that you're able to use and discern much better than a man. Look at me. If you study throughout history, even the great debates in the church now, you know what folk are afraid of? What do they fight in the Baptist church mostly? Women preachers. And when a woman to preach, I can't find no scripture to get her to preach. That's the devil. He's afraid if a woman gets behind the book board, she'll call him out. So I got to shut her up. And I'll use religion to do it. What has happened all over history? All over history, there's been wars and attacks against womanhood. Trying to put woman here and put woman there, and you're not this and you're not that. Shut up, be silent, don't talk, don't say nothing. Because if you see something, you might tell it. You've been abused. You've been physically abused over and throughout time. There were things that were awesomely atrocities done to women, mentally, physically. Don't want you to have an education. Don't want you to get a job. Don't want you to do nothing. Sell men on the idea that you're nothing but somebody to be barefoot and pregnant. You're not to walk face to face. You're not to confront me. You're to walk behind me. You're unimportant. And while I'm telling you you're unimportant, you're trying to impress me. Then God says, walk with him, but understand your power. When? I'm going to finish it like this. I told y'all a long time ago in high school, I was coming home. And every day, they let me out. in front of the house with the Doberman. And every day I'd grab my books and be looking out the window and start running. When did you come to that day I came to where I'd have been pushed around too much today? And that dog, I ain't running from again. And when I turned around and faced him, he ran from me. There are some of you that have been praying to God that this thing stops in your marriage, and this thing stops with your children, and this thing stops in your physical body, and this thing stops in that, and I'm tired. Lord, stop this from happening. And God is saying, I've given you. You've been fighting people. You've been fighting situations. And there's been a spirit behind all of that that you have not dealt with because you did not understand. And you've been bottled up with anger and pain, twisting in your gut, looking for a release. And that's the reason why women become so emotional too in services. The reason why you become so emotional, you get so, do you realize? If I don't work out every day, I'm not good to live with. I've got all this energy that I've got to release, and I got to go. And my wife said, well, you work out with me. I said, honey, you don't work hard enough. I got to work. I got to throw something. I got to do this. I got to get this out of me. If I don't, I'll explode. And what happens, you got such a fight spirit that builds up in you. And you don't know what to do with it because you're not levying it against hell. And then you get to a point where enough is enough and somebody touches a button and you... But you don't get up and fight. You just, oh, I just feel so good. I let it out. I don't know. When do you get mad enough to take your home back? When do you get mad enough to destroy that divorce spirit off your family? When do you get mad enough to go after that blood pressure spirit problem? When do you get mad enough to understand that that thing that's been going on between here and here and here and here and in here ain't nothing but from the devil? And he's been trying to destroy you. And the reason why it's gotten so heavy on you since you've been in this church is because you started recognizing who you are. And the devil started trying to play a scramble game on you to mess you up because he realized one day you might get a clue that you got a spirit that's even greater. You hate the devil. And my problem is, why are you going to take what you don't have to take? Why are you going to let me get killed? Men can't protect me. They can protect me physically. They can't protect me spiritually. You ever see somebody fight who was real mad? God has put a real mad spirit in you where there ain't no rules. Devil, I'm calling you out. We ain't got no rules. I want to pray with only you who understand what God just said to you tonight. I want to pray with those who are sick and tired, sitting on the side of their bed, praying and crying and asking God to fix this and move this and this and that. And you've been, and you know tonight that the devil's been trying to kill you and destroy you because you're getting too close to understanding who you are. You can call peace in your house. You can call peace over your children. You can call peace over your finance. You can go whatever. I want you to come right now. Come. Come. No, I'm looking for some warrior women now. I'm not looking for no little wimpy. I'm talking about folk that been so mad. All these years you've been dealing with stuff you ain't got to deal with. Come up a little higher. Just give me some. Now, you need to listen, you need to listen, you need to listen, you need to listen, you need to listen. When I get through praying, because you're going to have to confess something. Because he even sensed the advance. God said, some of you, I told you, turn your heart back to me. Some of you are so tired because you've been fighting the wrong thing. You can't even see where the hand of the devil is. You think it's this, but it's that. You think it's up, but it's down. You think it's your finances, but it's your husband. He's talking to your children and you don't even know it. You can't even see it. He's been acting strange. Some of you need to check your child. When you go home, I don't know, the Lord just dropped this in my spirit. Some of you got children that just now started selling reefer. And you go home and go in that room because I done confirmed something. Something been going wrong, something been going on. And you've been noticing him with a little bit more. And he's a nice child. But the devil's trying to get him into something. Don't get real mad with him because you left him uncovered. You left him uncovered. You left him uncovered. You know what bothers me? It used to bother me. And now I do this. When you go through the airport, you got to go through a metal detector. Because they don't want anybody coming in with anything dangerous. I at one time lost the respect because of my pride, and I had to get it back. Almost at least 9 times out of 10, if I meet somebody and if I want to know they're all right, all I got to do is take them by my wife. And it's like going through this little screening thing. She ain't got to be with him about 2 or 3 minutes. She ain't got to say nothing. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, she said, so-and-so, something ain't right. I get mad because I'm a good judge of character. My pride, now if she fusses at me, I won't listen. She has to hold herself down because she's got a lot of power. And if she comes at me too forceful, it turns me off. She's got to, I just want you to watch him. That's all. She gave me a little commercial, and just, if I want to know more, I have to come after her. There are folk that come in your presence and you can feel something. It ain't them, but you can pick up the spirit that's on them. See, God equipped you, see, because see, he made it so you hate the devil. See, we can walk with him and don't even know it. Man, you look at your man or you see it, man, why are you hanging out with him? We don't know it. We'll say, well, he's funny. Makes me laugh. We have a good time. No, there's something there. When I was coming up in my church that I was licensed at in D.C., the dear mothers of the church, I remember before I even thought I was going to preach, one of the mothers came and she did like this. And then another mother came and she started doing like this. And I'm just sitting there looking on straight. And they looked and said, yeah, yeah. He'll be preaching next year. They could discern. I wasn't even thinking about preaching. Did you realize what God gave you? And you have such a power that if you give that anger and you get mad and tell the devil, hell no, you ain't having this. I've discovered I'm a woman and I can show you in the book, I can hang with you. God's given me a spirit of war. I'm a warring woman. He said to Eve, he said, your desire will be for your man. And he shall rule over you. What was God saying? He was saying, Eve, before you leave, because I know you got to follow Adam. Because I got a plan. And I'm going to bring the whole thing back home through your womb. It was like God was about to just kind of shed some tears before you leave. Listen, honey. I've given you a fight spirit. I've given you a warring spirit. I've given you a spirit that the devil can't. I've made it so you hate him. I've shown you recognize him when nobody else recognizes it. I've given you that. But Eve, honey, you done turned. You've turned. And you're trying to please Adam. And if you do that, he's going to rule over you. And he can't see. All Adam can do is tell you the big picture. Then you take that big picture and put it in your womb because you know how to carry it. You know how to bring it into being. You know how to labor over it. You know how to bring birth to it. You know when to push because a man will get too anxious. You know when it's ready to come. He can't handle that. God said, before you leave, remember your first love. Eve, who did you see when I woke you up? It wasn't Adam. When you opened your eyes, you beheld my glory. You didn't know anything about Adam. You didn't know anything about him. You were happy with me. And I took you. God is saying tonight, come back to me. Come back to me. Before you follow him out. Because Lord knows he needs you. Come. Don't drop me. Do you remember what Minister Calhoun was reading? Seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness. And everything else. But I I get letters from y'all, and those of you that, I read my letters. I can't answer all of them, but I read them. And when somebody says, watch this, I take it serious. When it comes from a woman and she says, watch this, and watch that, I put it in the watch this, watch that stack. Don't throw that away. That's something might be here. Bishop, don't go there. I don't feel right. Thank you. I can't explain it, but have you ever noticed in the physical, whenever you get around somebody you hate it, you could feel them. That's how women have these things that, see, now I don't even ask my wife to explain her feelings no more because she can't explain it. She just, God has made you so that you hate the devil, that whenever you get somewhere even near him, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel comfortable here. Let's go. Something ain't right here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come over today. Something's not right. If you're serious about this, I want you to repeat after me. Listen, let me say it first. Lord, I'm back. I want you to put your hand right there in your belly, because this got to come from there. You ain't got to holler it loud, but you got to feel it, that you're telling God, I'm turning back. That's what you're saying. That's what I've got to get it in my belly, in my gut. I've got to get myself, because what's going to happen is what you're doing is turning yourself around so you can pick that radar up again. You were out of the spiritual radar reach, and so you couldn't even see. You were blind, and you were getting beat up, worn out, and you didn't even know where the devil was coming from, how to fight him, how to do it. But just as soon as you say it from your innermost parts, Lord, I'm back, you're going to be refocused again and sensitized. That warring spirit's going to rise up. You ain't taking no more. You ain't going to deal with no more. The devil is in trouble because the warring women have now got their hands ready to do war. Say it, Lord, I'm back. Lord, I'm back. Tell him you're sorry, but you're back. Tell him, I'm sorry, Lord, but I'm back. I strayed away, Lord, but I'm back. I gave other people attention, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Everybody in here lifting your hands. Lifting your hands. Now with your hands open, you're extending mercy and grace right now across this place. There's a mercy and a grace that's going. The warring women have now opened and released a mercy and grace in this house. There's a release of a mercy and grace. Keep them hands open. Keep them open. There's a mercy that's falling upon some of you right now. There's a grace. There's a forgiveness. There's an open hand of a warring woman. There's an open hand. There's a forgiveness. Verse 15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman. I don't believe that you ladies know what actually happened. What God did at that moment was empower you. When God said, God did not pull Adam and Eve together. The reason why Eve had to follow Adam out because he said the poor boy can't take care of himself. Let me just go on out here now. What's this? God did not call Adam and Eve together and say, I will put enmity. He said to the woman, he said, I will put enmity between you, Satan, and the woman. Watch this. He's directly speaking to the woman and nobody else. God was telling Satan that not only would Satan be the woman's enemy, but also a friend of mine at school, I explained to him how I sent my shoes to Nike and got a new pair, and so he bought me his old pair, and I'm gonna send those for him. I said, Negro, get them shoes back. Now I want you to hear this. This is very crucial and very key. My wife did not expose Cody. She exposed Satan. Where I was being quiet and would have let it pass, she saw a hand behind him. And even at that innocent stage, if it had gone on, all of Stevenson would have been sending their shoes through Cody. And we wonder how our children get into certain things. I couldn't see I'm Bishop Long. I got this thing, I call her Gladys Kravis. If anybody ever watched Bewitched, you know, Gladys was always looking at something. Abner, come here. I'm in trouble now, so. And so I come in the house. I'm just getting home. Come here. She pulls me in the laundry room. What? She didn't look like she wanted to kiss me or nothing. Look at these. I said, what is it? It's a box. I said, what is in the box? Cody, what? These shoes in the box. He asked me to mail these shoes off. He asked me the other week to mail these shoes off. Something ain't right. I mailed one pair off. Now he got another pair. She done opened and read the note. Shoes defective. She said, something ain't right. I said, honey, let the boy alone. He's exercising his entrepreneur spirit, and he did the thing right. And all night, you better talk to him. You better talk to him. So I knew about time to go to sleep. I better talk to him. Because women have a way when you just get in that spot, and she'll nudge, wake you up. I want to talk. Did you talk to him? Why you didn't talk? You don't respect me. Oh, come on. And so I know my spirit said, you better talk to him if you want to sleep tonight. And so I went, I said, Cody, what's up with the shoes? You see, the shoes are defective, and I'm sending them back, and they're going to send me another pair because they said send them back because they're defective. I said, but you sent a pair back the other week. Yeah, but these are defective also. I looked at them, they look like road dogs. They've been running for 2 years. I looked at Cody, I said, Cody, what is the real deal? Well, you see, they're defective. I said, no, what's the real deal? And then he said, well, more importantly, God was making woman Satan's enemy. I don't think you understand that why are we sitting up here saying the enemy, that Satan and his imps are sitting up and saying their enemy? And they're not talking about their enemy is the man. They're talking about their enemy is the woman. Satan does have an enemy, and the enemy is you. You do not. Do you want to know why you're in a strange season? Because you're in this church getting so much word that you're about to figure out who you are. And the devil is trying to scramble your resources because you are his enemy. He ain't after me. He ain't after men. He's after you. Because if you ever figure that out, can I share something with you? Let me tell you this. I'm almost embarrassed to share this with you because I'm Adam. I come home from Jersey, preaching, comes in.